What's real in this community is 5.8% of the people in Multnomah County are African American, but they make up 27% of our jails. That's real. That's really real. And until you start talking about why low-income neighborhoods, why black neighborhoods are highly policed at a higher rate, and what we learned yesterday from the data that we're going to be briefed on next week, Tuesday, Commissioner Shipwreck, is that people who get arrested who are black, they are more than likely to get arrested 4 or 5 times higher than anyone else if you compare them to white folks in this community. That's a problem. And then once they're getting charged, which I asked the question yesterday, black folks get charged 5 times more than anyone else with any of these cases. And you can look at that. This is not about this $500,000. He needs the $500,000 just in case. Because guess what? The colder that it gets outside, the more people we have on the streets, and we don't have a place to put them, we end up putting them in our jails. And if we don't have a space for them, and then we have folks who really, they commit really heinous crimes, we're not going to have a place for them. So this is really not about the $500,000. That's a question for next year's budget talks on how we're going to frame it and how we're going to budget each budget item. This is very personal for me. So we should be talking every single week. And I ask the question of our DA, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about the fact that you're charging black people at a higher rate than others? What are you going to do about that? Sitting around that lipstick table, what are you going to do? I'm not going to sit here and argue with you about $500,000. Because that $500,000 represents people as well. We're talking about people's jobs. People who have to get pink slips every 3 to 6 months because they don't know if they can have money in the budget to pay for them. So this is not a real big problem. But what is a real big problem is that people in my community, and I'm that voice right now, my communities are being booked, charged, locked up, and unfairly use of force once they are in our jails. Let's talk about that every single week that we come in here. I'm tired of talking about it too, Commissioner Shipwreck. I'm tired of talking about the budget too. But you know, when I came in here too, we were doing $8 million, anywhere between $6 and $8 million in overtime. That was the question in the sheriff's office about that overtime. And we course corrected on that. We can fix this. We can fix this in the next year's budget. But right now is not the time to be making that point. It's not necessary. Let's talk about what's going to happen when you have families who are being broken up, black families being broken up as a result of our law enforcement policies in this community. That's what I'm upset about. So, for me, I support you, Sheriff. Thank you for your leadership, Commissioner Shipwreck. This is really important right now, and we can deal with some of the issues that Commissioner Shipwreck is concerned about, and I hear you loud and clear, and I will be paying attention, close attention to it.
Commissioner Bailey?
I am going to be voting no on this budget
Video.
today. I know you've all heard me say this over and over again, but during last year's budget deliberations, I asked all departments to submit 2% constraint. And the Sheriff's Office proposed the closure of 2 dorms to make their budget projections. So while this conversation started at that point as a budget exercise, it gave us, the Board of Commissioners, the opportunity to evaluate how we spend our public safety dollars. And after much conversation, we voted to reduce funding for 2 dorms on a staggered schedule. Since we adopted our budget, we've closed Dorm 4, and our system partners are working closely together to develop programs like LEAD, sanction reductions, and 12 other systems changes that will reduce our need for jail beds. And I think that this is very encouraging. We've been talking about this for years and years and years, and we finally made some great strides. Jail is one of the most expensive options in our criminal justice system. And we know from our work from our Carpet Foundation that spending taxpayer dollars on jail beds for people who are too poor to post bail, or people who are waiting for their case to be resolved, isn't effective, and it doesn't make our community safer. I want to again commend our partners, the Presiding Judge Nan Waller, District Attorney Rod Underhill, Sheriff Reese, the City of Portland, and many, many others. We are working hard to make sure that jail is a place for the people who truly pose a risk to our community. If we stay on this path, we will have the opportunity to invest our public dollars differently. We can invest in people. We can invest in prevention. This only works if we continue to push ourselves to do things differently.
I would just like to add that I appreciate everyone's statement. I know this is a passionate issue. I appreciate all of that. As I said before, I think we're all working toward the same goal. It's how we get there. I just have to point out that my crime is up in East County. My East County partners are very uncomfortable with this. They're not supportive of this, and I just want to point that out again as we look at the entire county.
Commissioner, Chair Kafuri, I just want to respond to Commissioner McKeel. You're right, and I also heard yesterday in a Home for Everyone meeting that there are also immigrants in our community who don't feel safe as a result of our national presidential elections. And there's another opportunity to put a strategy on the table that would probably eliminate some of the need for jail beds through being a sanctuary county. And I'm going to pursue trying to have that done before you leave here, Commissioner McKeel. Just like Benton County did a sanctuary county, because I want everyone in this community to feel like that they can use our services, whether it be through our temporary home services, DV services, and not being put in a position because they don't have a place to go, that they're put in our jail. So I think there needs to be several strategies as we're going forward when we look at the budget. And, you know, a sanctuary county might be one of those strategies as well. So I hear you loud and clear.
Chair, I will say something. I think it's pretty clear that jail is not the answer for social services. And I applaud you in leadership and Commissioner Shipwright in leadership in setting the marker that this is the direction we're going and catalyzing critical progress towards having alternatives to jail. I think we are on that path, and I think we'll meet that goal. As noted, we have made significant investments in other programs that will provide alternatives and an important safety net. Those are in development. They are currently expanding. We're not quite there yet. To me, this is an issue of giving us a little bit more breathing room, bring that online as we continue to set the signal of the direction this board intends, and the next board can make an assessment in the course of the budget process about the effectiveness of those measures as they come online, and the direction continuing where this board has set its marker that we want to go.
All right, all those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
Nay. The budget modification, the budget modification is adopted. Did you remember?
R3, public hearing and second reading of an ordinance amending
So we approve it or
county
not?
ambulance service plan and
Which is
MCC
interesting because it sounded like Smith was against it.
21.400 emergency medical
Yeah, she
services.
twisted on the end. That's a strange one.
Commissioner Keel moves, Commissioner Smith seconds approval of R3. And I just want to let people know that we are planning on closing this morning due to the impending weather. So I would like to